Hey there, I'm Sierra Bailey with Doers, Shakers, Makers, and I'm back with this week's Tuesday tip. Actually, I'm not going to really talk about a tip today as much as I am going to define a phrase you may have heard, or even maybe you have heard of the abbreviation GIGO. You know what that stands for? Garbage in, garbage out. So where on earth did that come from? Well, middle of the 20th century in computer programming. So that basically came from the idea that a computer is only able to process what you put into it. And if you put garbage code or bad code into it, you're going to get garbage or bad out of it. Now, I have a bit of a background in engineering and coding. I am not an elegant coder, but if you have ever had experience in this, you know that there are some people that basically their writing code is like poetry. It is a glorious thing. There is such a thing as bad code, and there is definitely such a thing as just writing something that won't function. You get a period or a colon out of place and nothing will work. So that thought, garbage in, garbage out, can come into our lives in many different ways. You can think of it as simply as in health ways. If you're eating garbage, if you're putting garbage into yourself, you are not going to get a great performance out of yourself because garbage in, garbage out. You can think about that in the way of what you are taking in terms of people around you. Garbage in, garbage out. You want to have people that are uplifting and motivating you and that are excited about doing better things, not people that are dragging you down and negative and always just gossiping about people. Then there's also the whole idea of what you consume. And I'm not talking about food this time. I'm talking more about what you're reading, what you're watching, what you're listening to. Is it helping you be your best self? Are you taking in things that are wonderfully positive and putting them back out there? And, we all have our thing. Like some people may love watching, half an hour of some trashy reality TV every day. And that's their way to decompress and unwind. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if everything that you're consuming in your life is garbage, what do you expect to come out? And lastly, I think about that when you own a business. So if you are constantly, I talk about this all the time, here we are talking about it in another way. If you're constantly reacting and you're constantly stressed out and you're constantly, taking in all of this stuff that is not your priority, you're not going to be putting your best work out there. Think about that. When you produce your best work, when you do the best that you can do, you're usually coming at it as at a place of calm. You probably have been putting non-garbage in. You're probably taking care of yourself a little bit better. You're well rested. You've been drinking water. You've been eating well. You've been exercising. And that all contributes to it. But so does thinking about what your output is. Sitting down with intention and working on the projects that you want to work on. Not just scrolling through social media all day long and calling it work. Not just feeling so overwhelmed that you're basically just replying to basic spam email instead of scheduling your email for a couple of times a day. Not, and this is a big one, thinking about the strategy of what you're doing. We all, no matter what size business we are, should have, you don't have to officially name it, but we all should have some idea of a marketing plan, of our branding, who we're trying to reach, what the message we'd like to tell them is, and of course, what the thing we're trying to accomplish is, what the point of it all is. And when you take some time, this is why I'm so into goal setting. It just gives you some time to stop, to pause, to look at everything a little more objectively and think about how everything is coming together and how it can all have beautiful output to get you where you want to be going. So think about that. Garbage in, garbage out. Think about all the places that it can be in your life. Are there ones that I'm not even listing? Let me know. Comment about it. I'd love to hear how people also interpret this because you heard my 4 ways of looking at something that was about computer code. I bet there are ways that you can think about that too. So next time you're not taking care of yourself, think, well, if I'm putting garbage in, how can I expect to not be getting garbage out of it? Little food for thought for this week's Tuesday tip. Every week there's something different that I bring to you here in these videos. Sometimes it is a piece of advice. Sometimes it is something to think about. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will be back here next week. I'm Sierra Bailey with Doers, Shakers, Makers. Please subscribe or follow. It would do a huge favor in helping other people find these as well. I'll be back next Tuesday.